We're thrilled to be joined right now by Coach Ash Howard of LaSalle University. Coach, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing awesome, guys. Thanks for having me today. How are you?
We're fantastic. We've been excited for the opportunity to do this series, focusing on coaches versus cancer, in particular what the Philadelphia coaches have done with it. You guys had a huge event recently with the coaches versus cancer off the court special, raised over $500,000. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to participate in that event and everything?
So, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we weren't able to do some of the events that we normally do to raise money for Coaches versus Cancer this year. And Diana Dalton and Allie Gill are the two women that work directly with Coaches versus Cancer. And they've been great in terms of being innovative and creating ways that we can continue to fight this cause, even during this difficult time where, we can't, do our normal fundraising. So they came up with the concept of the Coaches versus Cancer off the court special, which was on NBC Sports. And, I believe we have another episode coming up this week. And, it just celebrates the history and the tradition of the City Six basketball programs and talks about how unique Philadelphia college basketball is. And one of the things that makes us, extraordinary is our involvement in Coaches versus Cancer, how all of the different, institutions, we compete during the year. We want to win every game that we compete against each other. But, the biggest fight that we're fighting together is the fight versus cancer. And all of us have been impacted by it. And it's something that is very important to us. And I'm just excited and honored to be a part of it.
Coach, as part, you mentioned the City Six. We've talked to other coaches in the city. You're part of an impressive fraternity of coaches that are not only great on the court as coaches, but are great off the court, both as leaders of young men and also leaders in raising awareness and raising money for important charities in the city. What's it like to be part of that fraternity?
Well, it's awesome because, you're a part of something bigger than yourself. And you're constantly reminded that, right? Being a part of the Philadelphia basketball community, this prestigious coaching fraternity, what it represents to me is just, being around men who are great leaders, who made an impact at their respective institutions and on this Philadelphia basketball community. And now I'm in a position where I'm carrying the torch. And Coaches versus Cancer is something that Coach Fran Dunphy and Coach Phil Martelli, they adopted it and they made it their baby, and it's really taken off. And now Philadelphia is the leading fundraiser for Coaches versus Cancer, and it has a lot to do with the efforts of Coach Dunphy and Coach Martelli. And now you have a younger regime of coaches, including myself, Aaron McKee, Billy Lang, Zach Spiker, who are all relatively new to our respective platforms at LaSalle, Drexel, Temple, and St. Joe's, respectively. And we're just here to carry the torch. So it's a part of being a part of something bigger than yourself, and doing whatever we can to use our platform to influence change and to help fight this battle that we've all been impacted by.
One of the areas that you're raising monies for, and that the coaches go out to, is Hope Lodge. What has been your impression of Hope Lodge and what it means to the city?
Well, last year we took our team to Hope Lodge, and we served dinner to the families that were currently staying there. And Hope Lodge is an extraordinary program. So what Hope Lodge does is they provide housing for cancer patients that travel to the Philadelphia area. And we have we have multiple Hope Lodge locations across the country. We have more than 30 Hope Lodge locations across the country, and our location in Philadelphia is in the Cheltenham area. And so for cancer patients that travel from outside of our region, they can come to Hope Lodge and have a place where they can stay, have a place where they can receive meals while they're getting their treatment. A lot of times these families, they have to pay to travel. They have to pay for hotels. So Hope Lodge gives these families that are in dire need the opportunity to have the support, to not have to spend those extra funds on lodging and food, while they're in our region, receiving treatment from some of the best cancer treatment places that you can find in the country.
You talk about bringing your team there, and you're obviously a developer of men and leaders. How important is that for the off the court and on the court development of bonding, to be able to have them in that situation where they see the larger picture outside of the game that they get to play every day?
Well, I think that's what it's all about. For our guys, understanding that we're significantly blessed, right? And we believe that we're blessed so that we can share our blessings with others. And, you don't know the impact that you can have on other people until, you put yourself in the position and in the mindset to give back, right? And whether it's just a simple hello, how's your day going? Whether it's, have an opportunity to sit down and, ask a cancer patient, how they're doing, how they're feeling, talk to them a little bit about our experience and what we have going on so they can take their mind off of the fight that they're fighting, and how therapeutic that could be for somebody. Just offering your time and showing somebody that you care. Those things make a huge impact, and it's important that our young people understand that. We all are very privileged in our own regard, and we sort of live in our own world at times. So whenever we can step outside of our world and then step into somebody else's world and see the struggles that some people have, and it reminds us how extremely fortunate we are, and how we have to use our platform to help other people and not be consumed with our own motives and our own agendas.
You can see, I saw a video of the players wishing you a happy birthday, something that simple. You can see the bond that you have with them. And you talk about hearing from the cancer patients and their concerns. You're dealing in a difficult time, social questions, other questions that are out there. And I saw a comment from you talking to your players about the pain that they're feeling, that they're angry, they're confused, they're scared, and they want to do something. They just don't know what exactly to do. Can you talk about, these are higher level conversations than X's and O's on the basketball court. How has that been for you as a coach to work with your players through these very challenging issues and times?
Well, I think the biggest thing for our young people to understand is that in this world, you have people who think differently than you. You have people who have different experiences than you, and believe that we're all a product of our experiences. The one thing that sports gives us the opportunity to do is to learn about people from different walks of life, to interact with people that come from different backgrounds and different religions, and I think that's the beauty of sport, right? And that's why sports brings us all together, because it's one common thing that people that come from all different walks of life, they share in common, right? Whether, you're a fan of the Eagles, or whether or not, you play basketball for LaSalle University. Sports is something that brings unity, right? And in our country and in our world today, I just think we need more unity. There's a lot of hate in the world. The only way you can combat hate is with love. And the only way you can love somebody is to understand them, right? So, we talk a lot about, educating ourselves, not just on the history of blacks in America, but just continue to educate yourself on the history of all people, so we can understand why people think the way they do, and not to condemn somebody for the way they think, but to pray for them and encourage people to think outside of their box, right? And it's a challenging time, but without any struggle, there is no progress, and that's a quote that we use from Frederick Douglass, and it's something that we know to be true, right? As a program that's very much building. I think we've had some struggles early, and there's light at the end of the tunnel for us. So we use a lot of the parallels that we see as a basketball team. We correlate that to real life experience, and I think our guys are starting to understand. And but it's a challenge. It's a challenging situation, especially when we weren't around our guys and you were going through all this social justice and social unrest, and the murder of George Floyd, and then Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, and so many others. The challenge was not being around my players to be able to hug them and talk to them and get that perspective. But now that we're back, it's been a little easier to manage, just because we're face to face and we can have that dialogue.
We like to talk to players and coaches about how they can use their platform for positive change. You come from a family that does that. Your father was a basketball player, and he's also one of the founders of the Philadelphia Black Basketball Hall of Fame. What did you take away from your experience, both on and off the court, as a kid who was around people like your father, like Pete Maravich, like other NBA players that were using their platform for positive change?
Well, for me, I was very privileged growing up to grow up in a basketball family, and to be exposed to just the importance of using basketball to foster relationships that you ordinarily wouldn't have access to. And I grew up around some great people. I played in the Sunny Hill League, and in the Sunny Hill League, we had great mentors. Guys like Mr. Hill, guys like Claude Gross, guys like T. Shields, Mr. Tony Sammartino, John Harnett, Ike Kehoe. There were so many great men that mentored us in that league, and we were taught in that league that the importance of education. We were taught the importance of respect. We were taught the importance of showing up on time. So there's so many valuable life lessons that I learned growing up playing in the Sunny Hill League. Growing up being the son of Mo, where people actually took a little more interest in me because of the relationship they had with my father, and it's something that when I look back on my journey and how I've gotten to this point, I've been I've been extremely blessed to have great mentors and people that took an interest in me, that wanted to teach me the right way to lead, and I've learned from the men that led me along the way. So, I think that just being a fly on the wall and being able to watch great leaders is something that I've taken and implemented into my own coaching philosophy, and is a significant reason why I'm in the position I'm in today.
You mentioned being a fly on the wall. Along with your dad, you were on John Giannini's staff. You were on Bruiser Flint's staff. You work with Jay Wright. All these before you became head coach. And, you have a reputation for being a big-time recruiter. You recruited Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, among others, Dante DiVincenzo. What is it that you sell to players? Because, Jeff and I always marvel at the talent of coaches and people that we get to talk to in this city. But clearly you've got something that you pitch and we can hear it talking to you. What is it that you've learned that you've been able to impart on people and make them buy into your vision wherever you've been?
I think the most important thing is to understand what each individual recruit um, is aiming for, right? So each kid has a goal that they want to achieve, and then you communicate with that student athlete. You get to learn them, you get to understand them, you get to to recognize what buttons to push with them, because the recruiting process is the process. But the most important thing is the work you do when you get the recruit, right? And you know, you know, you know, Dante DiVincenzo wasn't a big time recruit when he committed to Villanova. Mikal Bridges, it wasn't like people were looking at those guys and saying like, yo man, those guys are going to be studs, right? Jalen Brunson was an exception. Jalen was he was the best point guard in college basketball when he was in high school, and an even better person and a great leader who was taught by his mother and his father, how to be a great leader. But for most of the guys that I've recruited during my career, it's been about implementing a plan once you get them to help them develop and reach their full potential. And when I think of Mikal and Dante, I don't necessarily think about the recruiting process. I think about the early mornings and the late nights and the arguments and the reconciliations that go along with pushing and challenging these young people to become the best versions of themselves. The recruiting process is something that is necessary at this level, but I think the real work is done once you get the recruits on campus and then you start developing their minds as athletes and as young men, and getting them to understand big picture. If they're going to achieve the goals that they want to achieve, they got to work hard for it. It's not going to be easy, and just letting them know that you're there to support them through it all, the good and the bad.
So what do you see from the group of young men that you currently have to coach? What are you looking forward to? What's the vision for this group?
So the vision for our group is to learn, first and foremost, how to celebrate each other's successes, right? We have a talented group. And I love our team. As a program, we haven't achieved the success that we want yet, so we're still building. There isn't a championship level team that doesn't understand the importance of all of the parts, right? And because we're such a young team, and we're adding some new pieces. We had a couple guys that sat out last year, and we have some freshmen that are talented that are coming in, along with some returning guys who have some experience in our program. Understanding the importance of everybody's role and getting everybody to take their job serious is the key. And I believe that if we can appreciate each other for what each individual brings to the table, and if we can all remain committed to constantly having a mindset of competing and getting better, then I think the sky's the limit for this group of guys that we have. And the good part about it is we're still a very young team, and we'll be returning, pretty much 85% of our roster for the next couple of years. We have 10 freshmen and sophomores on our team, so we're young, but we still have a very high ceiling, and I'm excited about it. And just the fact that we're able to practice now and prepare for a season, is something to be excited for, because obviously. In the climate of today, that wasn't necessarily something that we were 100% sure was going to happen a couple months ago. So the fact that we're back on the floor, we're back preparing for a season, is something that we're really excited about, and we're preparing to represent LaSalle this year in a big time fashion.
With everything that was going on off the court, how excited are you for that first tip off and for playing those City Six games?
Well, it's nothing like playing in the Big Five. I tell people all the time, like leaving Philly wasn't an option for me. I'm Philly through and through. So, having those games where you play against Temple and Villanova and Penn and St. Joe's and playing against guys that you are high school teammates with in AAU, or you played high school ball with, or guys that you competed against all throughout high school, and now you're competing with those guys in college. That's something that you can't get anywhere else in all of college basketball. So the fact that like we talked about, I have a great relationship with every one of the City Six coaches, and it is a brotherhood, it's a fraternity. So to be able to compete against guys that you hold dear to your heart and you respect a great deal is awesome. There's not one program that once we're done competing against them, I want all the teams to win every game they play. So it's a unique experience. We have a lot of local guys on our team, so I think they appreciate that opportunity, and we're looking forward to this season and seeing if we can take this program to another level this year. I think we will.
Well, Coach, we look forward to watching you continue to build at LaSalle. Thank you and congratulations for all you're doing with Coaches versus Cancer, and for what you're doing developing men and representing the city the way it should be. We really appreciate the time you gave us. Thanks so much.
Fellas, I appreciate you having me, and wish you guys all the best, and go Explorers to all our Explorer fans listening.